Hey there, and welcome. Look, we've all been there, right? You've got this super simple process, and then one little thing goes wrong, and suddenly, bam, it's a total mess. Well, in this explainer, we're going to show you how to untangle that chaos with a really powerful idea called multi-flow. So why is it that a simple customer order, something that should be so straightforward, just completely falls apart with one tiny little hiccup? How does that even happen? That's the big question. We're not just going to answer today, we're going to solve it. Okay, so here's our game plan. We'll start with the simple order problem, then see where it all goes wrong when one purchase becomes many. After that, we'll dive into the multi-flow solution, figure out how to connect the flows, and wrap it all up with the one golden rule that you absolutely have to know. All right, let's jump right into part one, the simple order problem. We're going to start with what's called the happy path. You know, that perfect world scenario where everything just works. I mean, in a perfect world, an order is just beautiful, isn't it? The order comes in, you check the inventory, yep, the item is right there on the shelf, and boom, it's dispatched. So clean, so simple, perfect. But yeah, we don't live in that perfect world, do we? So what happens when you go to check the inventory and, oh no, it's not in stock? This right here, this is the exact moment where the first knot gets tied in our nice, simple process. Okay, so the process gets a little longer, right? You got to purchase the material from your supplier, wait for it to arrive, then you can dispatch it. It adds a couple of steps, sure, but it's still one single manageable flow, for now anyway. And that brings us to part two, when one purchase becomes many. And folks, this is the breaking point. This is where that nice, simple, single flow system just completely shatters. So let's think about this. What if your order for, say, 100 items doesn't show up in one big box? What if it comes in bits and pieces, multiple shipments? All of a sudden, how on earth is your simple little process supposed to handle that? And here's where the chaos really kicks in. Let's say your supplier sends you 40 items today, then 30 tomorrow, and the last 30, who knows when. That one simple receive materials step in your process, it's completely broken now. You can't mark it complete because, well, it's not, but you can't just ignore the stuff that did arrive. Your whole process is just stuck. It's in total limbo. And this is where we get to the aha moment. Welcome to part three, the multi-flow solution. The big idea here is stop trying to cram everything into one giant, messy process. Instead, you divide the work into separate, much more organized flows. So here's the elegant solution. You create three separate, distinct flows. First, you've got your main order processing flow. It just hits a wait for purchase step and pauses. That's it. Then you have a totally separate purchase flow. This is where you handle all the messy back and forth with the supplier. And the brilliant part, it can run over and over for all those partial deliveries. And finally, you've got a clean dispatch flow that just worries about getting stuff out the door. See? Each flow does one job, and it does it well. Okay, so that makes sense. We've got these three separate flows. But how do they talk to each other, right? That's the obvious next question. And that brings us to part four, connecting the flows. You're going to love this because the answer is so much simpler than you think. Now, your first thought is probably, oh, I need some fancy, complex software integration for this. But here's the key insight, and it's a big one. You don't. The connection isn't some complex digital handshake. It's physical. It's handled by your team, by the people actually doing the work. Let me walk you through it. It's actually super intuitive. Your main order flow gets to that purchase step and just stops. It waits. Then, a person on your team goes and kicks off a separate purchase flow. They handle everything. And then, once all 100 items have actually arrived, that same person just goes back to the original order flow and manually clicks, purchase is complete. That's the signal. The order flow wakes back up and carries on. It's simple, it's elegant, and it puts people, not complicated code, at the center of it. Okay, this all sounds pretty amazing, right? But there is one thing, one absolutely critical principle that makes this whole system work and keeps it trustworthy. And that brings us to our final section, the one golden rule. And trust me, this is the one rule you can never break. And here it is. It's so simple, but it is everything. Mark a task as complete only when the work is truly complete. Not when you've started it, not when you're halfway there, only when it is 100% absolutely positively done. Because just think about what happens if you break this rule.
Imagine someone marks purchase as complete when only 40 of the 100 items have arrived. What does the system think? It thinks, great, we're ready to dispatch. But what's the reality? You're not ready at all. You've just created this huge, dangerous gap between what your system thinks is true and what's actually true. Following this rule is the only way to make sure your system is a mirror of reality, not a fantasy.
So there you have it. By taking those messy, complex, repetitive parts of a job and spinning them off into their own dedicated flows, and then connecting them with one simple human-powered rule, you can literally bring order back from the brink of chaos. Which kind of leaves us with one last question to chew on, doesn't it? Is your process really as simple as you think it is? Or is there a tangled up multi-flow just waiting for you to find it?